and Kim Do-hee, presenting on the theme of political morality.
Good afternoon. My name is Do-hee Kim. My name is Bin, and we're from Incheon International High School. So today we're going to do a politically moral analysis on the ISIS crisis through the scopes of consequentialism and deontology. Now, to give you a slight background on ISIS, the chart on your left shows the major ISIS terrorism attacks worldwide. You can see that most of them are focused on the Middle Eastern countries and the North American continent, but they are spreading throughout Africa and Europe as well. And also, the graph on your right, shows the exponential increase in the number of refugees, especially in Syria under ISIS military dictatorship. Also, ISIS taking control in Middle East indicates that they are taking control over the main oil resources in the Middle East. And they have been earning around $97 million per month by selling oil for $40 per barrel, which is significantly lower than the $93 per barrel price determined by supply and demand in the free market. So they have been supporting their terrorist actions and recruiting their members through this finance. So they are essentially the richest terrorist organization yet, and as this group is growing in wealth and size day by day, the big question is whether the world should go to war against ISIS or not before they get out of control. So we are going to look at this on moral grounds, and before we do that, we need to know what morality is. Morality basically asks what the right decision is. So we set the standards using two philosophical concepts of consequentialism and deontology. To give you a brief preview, consequentialism looks at the results in making a decision, whereas deontology looks at the process. To get into the specific, consequentialism is defined in the dictionary as the view that normative properties depend only on consequences. So the root word consequence in that word makes this whole concept pretty self-explanatory. So basically, the end justifies the means in terms of consequentialism. To apply this concept to evaluating the ISIS crisis, we can do this in two different ways, in terms of finance and in terms of human lives. So we need to evaluate the costs and benefits of both when we do and don't engage in war. And these two categories are in different units, so we have to calculate them separately. So first, in terms of finance, the Fiscal Times have reported that it takes a calculated sum of around $40 billion per year to support the war against ISIS, whereas if we were to avoid war, it would take $4.4 billion per country to support basic life necessities of the refugees, and currently there are 51 countries actively accepting refugees, so the total cost of avoiding war would total up to about 4.4 times 51, plus the $500 million per year that ISIS exploits through oil black market. So they total up to about $224.9 billion, which is significantly larger compared to the $40 billion it takes to engage in war. So a rational consequentialist would conclude that it is much more reasonable to go to war because it has a better outcome of less cost. Now, in terms of human lives, we can look at these statistics. So we predicted that the cost of the number of human lives going to war would be the number of deaths of innocent civilians. So we took the statistics from World War II to predict the number of lives taken away if we engaged in a world-scale war against ISIS, which came out to be about 70 million to 85 million lives. Whereas if we were to avoid war, we would have to face lives taken away from Syrian civilians under ISIS dictatorship, plus the number of possible victims under future ISIS terrorism, which totaled up to about 337,990 lives. So here, in this case, in terms of human lives, a consequentialist would say that it is a much smarter choice to avoid war because it has a better outcome of less lives taken away. Now you can see that there are sacrifices made, that we are unable to protect Syrian civilians under dictatorship, and we are unable to protect possible victims of terrorism. However, consequentialism holds that there can be sacrifices as long as we obtain the best outcome.
The second philosophical approach that we're going to look the ISIS crisis on is deontology. Deontology, unlike consequentialism, has various many parts in which has very contrasting views within. Deontology, in a short term, says that an action's morality depends on whether it follows a rule or principle that has already been accepted by the society. Take, for example, that a missile is about to be launched in 10 minutes. As a professional hacker, you have the ability to stop the missile from being launched. Although this is a very strict example, a deontologist would agree in not hacking into the computer and not stopping the missiles, although it would cost hundreds and thousands of people's lives. The reason being is because deontology says that end can never justify the means. The end, in saving hundreds and thousands of people's lives, cannot justify the means, the illegal act of hacking into someone else's computer, which goes against the cybersecurity code of ethics. Now, there are three types of deontology: moral absolutism, Kantianism, and contemporary deontology. Now, concerning the moral question of whether we should, or the international community should wage war against ISIS, we will be using two out of the three deontology methods: moral absolutism and Kantianism. Now, to first go on to Kantianism, Kantianism is a set of beliefs that were agreed upon by Immanuel Kant. Although this has the basic root of deontology, it differs in the fact that it concerns the intent of the person carrying out the action. For example, if the intent of the person carrying out the action is negative, no matter how positive the result, no matter how beneficial the result may be, Kantianism believes that it is unjustifiable. To put into context of the ISIS is currently hurting the world population. If the international community's intention of waging war is to eradicate worldwide threat and to help these refugees return back to their home. Again, because the intent of the international community is to save humanity under Kantianism, this is indeed justifiable. According to St. Augustine of Hippo's just war theory, the cause of the war is for peace and to eradicate evil. Therefore, under Kantianism belief, war is indeed justifiable. Now, to go on to moral absolutism view, unlike Kantianism, which regards the intent of the person, moral absolutism takes more emphasis on the principle. They believe that all things on earth are inherently right and inherently wrong. Take, for example, that a person is stealing bread from the bread store. Under Kantianism belief, because the intent of the person stealing the bread is to feed a starving family, it can be partially seen as justifiable. However, under moral absolutism view, because stealing itself is inherently wrong, and because in the Ten Commandments it clearly says that thou shalt not steal, moral absolutist belief that that stealing itself is not justifiable. Also, in addition, under the Roman Catholic Church's principle, it says that intentional destruction of human lives are prohibited, and that all wars follow all evils and all injustice. Therefore, under moral absolutism view, war can be seen as injustifiable. Now that we looked into consequentialism and two types of deontology, we decided to conduct a student survey of our students. The survey was conducted from October 30th to November 1st with a total of 145 Incheon International High School students. Their first question was their acknowledgement of the ISIS question, and 90% received that they were, yes, acknowledged of the refugee crisis. As for the second question, we asked if war was justifiable, and then through what means, consequentialism or deontology. As shown in this pie graph, it has shown that over half of the people, 68%, believe that war was indeed justifiable in the means of consequentialism. Now, in our research, we have discussed two types of philosophical approach, deontology and consequentialism. As for the conclusion, upon the outbreak of the European refugee crisis and the ISIS crisis, millions of refugees are fleeing their countries and going to hosting nations. This has caused financial burden in not only hosting nations, but international organizations such as WHO or UN Refugee Agency. As a person that wrote this paper, we believe that the most politically moral question in regards to whether war is justifiable is that the international community should wage war or direct intervention. However, regardless of the current morality of the situation, it is of utmost universal agreement that all nations should come together and devise a comprehensive solution in response to this current ISIS crisis. Only then will worlds truly be free from the threats of ISIS, and only then will the refugees clearly return back to their homeland free and to guarantee the human rights of security. Thank you again, and this has been from Incheon International High School. Thank you.